All right, I'm just pulling up suggested chair remarks. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the opening remarks here to read. It's just taking forever. Okay. Okay, welcome to the May 17th meeting of the Planning Board. First, we'll take a roll call vote to introduce board members and staff. Kate.
Hi, here.
Ellen.
Here.
Josh.
Here.
Bill.
I'm here.
And I'm Chris Baff, and I'm here as well. This meeting is recorded by Westwood Media Center, live on local cable television, Comcast Channel 12 and Verizon Channel 42. Meetings are also live on the Westwood Media Center's YouTube channel. If you're interested in joining the meeting via Zoom, you can find the login directions in the Planning Board meeting notice that is posted in the calendar section of the town's webpage at www.townhall.westwood.ma.us/. We will begin the meeting with only board members and staff unmuted and on video. As the chair recognizes individuals to speak, we will unmute them. Board members may choose to mute themselves when they are not speaking in order to minimize background noise. For applications, the chair will first invite the applicant to address the board and give a presentation, summarize what is being requested. Board members receive the application materials prior to the meeting and will have reviewed them. Board members may ask questions during and following the presentation. Staff and outside experts will provide comments to the board. If the issue includes a public hearing, the board will then proceed to the public comment portion of the public hearing and will restate the instructions. In this remote meeting format, residents and guests may participate in several ways. Attendees should raise their hand and wait to be unmuted and recognized to speak over the Zoom meeting application or from a telephone dial-up. We will be able to hear you but not see you. Additionally, comments may be submitted by email or regular mail prior to the meeting. When we come to that part of the meeting, I will remind everyone of the process. Following the public comment portion, the board will deliberate and make a decision or continue the hearing to a specific future date. All remote meetings require the votes be taken by roll call. When a motion and a second has been made, the chair will ask if there's any further discussion before proceeding to a roll call vote, and will then restate the results of the vote. Nora, is there any change to tonight's agenda?
There is not.
Okay. For agenda item, I think we have the reorganization of the board, right?
That's the first item.
Okay. My agenda actually says the 213 Fox Hill Street is the first item, but maybe I got that as part of what was sent and I opened up.
So I think when you open up the meeting packet reorganizes the agenda items, but the public agenda that's posted on the town clerk's website has board reorganization as the first item.
Okay. All right. Since you're looking at what was publicly, I'll rely on you to announce agenda items tonight. So the board reorganization. Tonight we assign by virtue of planning board member vote, new chair, vice chair, and secretary. And in addition to that, we identified those members we submit to the select board for representation at various, not boards, but organizations for which we represent Westwood. I think Nora submitted or sent to us a list of all of those organizations prior to tonight's meeting so that everyone, including our new members, can get an understanding of those groups that we try to extend ourselves to, and then report back to the planning board, ongoing meetings from those organizations. So we have we're well informed and up to date as to things going on in the Metro Boston area. So with that, I guess we'll start with the reorganization. Nora, why don't you guide us through?
So the actual first item on the agenda, even before that, was introduction of our new members. So if I could just do that for anyone who's watching that hasn't met them yet. So we have two new members, Josh Ames and Phil Giordano, both join us for the first time at this meeting. So welcome, Josh and Phil. Sorry, I know you don't have the up-to-date agenda, but that was the first item. The second one then is to go over just the initial reorganization of the board. We could start at the beginning of the meeting by just selecting a chair, vice chair, and secretary, and then we'll get committee assignments further down. That way you can get through your business items first. So if anyone would like to nominate anyone for position of chair, why don't we start there? Kate?
Nora, I'd like to nominate Chris Paff to continue for another year in his role as chair.
All right, do we have anyone to second that nomination?
I'll second that.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded. Before we take a call on that, is there any discussion, any other nominations? All right, seeing no discussion, if we could take a roll call vote on that. Kate?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And Chris?
Aye.
Terrific. Now you can take it from here. So the next one you'll need is a vice chair.
Okay, I'll accept a motion for a nomination for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Ellen.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Phil?
Aye.
Kate, I said. Sorry.
Aye.
Oh, I think you said my name. Sorry.
No, I said Phil first, then Kate.
Okay.
There was a cough in there that I think.
We'll
right
get it
when I-
down, Phil. We'll get it
Yeah,
down.
I gotta get used to it.
Kate, I'm sorry if I didn't hear your vote.
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
I vote aye. Ellen?
Aye. Thanks.
Unanimous.
And now secretary.
Now we'll take a nomination for a secretary. I will nominate Kate Wynn.
Second.
Okay,
Third.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Josh?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. And Kate?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
So the board is now reorganized for the coming year.
Terrific.
Excuse me, next would be committee assignments. Nora?
We'll save the committee assignments until a little bit later in the meeting. If we
Right,
could
you
pick
did
up
say
the
that.
next item, we'll go right to the public hearing for wireless communication overlay district environmental impact and design review approval of proposed alterations to the existing wireless communication facilities at 213 Fox Hill Street. Do you have the public hearing notice handy that you can read aloud? If not, I can display it on
You
the
want me-
screen.
Okay, I can read it.
Okay.
Westwood Planning Board will hold a remote public hearing on Tuesday, May 17th, 2022 at 7 p.m. via Zoom regarding an application filed by Molly Padden on behalf of Cellco Partnership DBA Verizon Wireless for environmental impact and design review approval pursuant to sections 7.3 and 9.4 of the Westwood zoning bylaw to install 3 new wireless communication antennas on existing mounts, along with related cables on the Dedham Westwood water tank. Property location is 213 Fox Hill Street, known as Assessor's Map 9, Parcel 665. Property owner is Dedham Westwood Water District. The meeting will be filmed live by Westwood Media Center available for viewing on Comcast Channel 12 and Verizon Channel 42 and on Westwood Media Center's YouTube channel. Those wishing to participate are encouraged to use Zoom by following the instructions or go to zoom.us, click on Join Meeting, and the meeting ID is, I don't see the ID in, oh, sorry, 824-3672-8033. The passcode is 199979. Or you can call toll free at 833-548-0282 or 877-853-5257. The plans and application are available for viewing at the town's website under current applications link for the planning board at www.townhall.westwood.ma.us. Interested persons are encouraged to attend the public hearing via Zoom by computer or calling in and make their views known to the planning board. You may also submit comments in writing to the planning board office by email to Nora N. Locknane at townhall.westwood.ma.us, preferably at least 3 business days. We're well past that, in advance to allow time for receipt and board distribution. Was that what I was supposed to read?
Yes, terrific.
If
Okay,
not, you cut me off a lot.
so now we have 2 representatives that I will bring in as panelists to discuss this application with you. We have Stephen Sobey and Ellen Freeman. Was there anyone else joining?
No.
If there's anyone else, I'll let them in. There's, I see someone, it just says RAS. Is that someone connected with this application?
No, we're not expecting anybody else, so.
All right. All right. Well, then if you could just make your presentation.
Okay. Steven's doing that.
Yeah, so good evening. My name is Stephen Sobey. I'm joined by my colleague, Ellen Fryman. I'm an attorney at Shatchworth & Fenton. Our office is located at 1441 Main Street in Springfield, Massachusetts. We're here on behalf of Selco Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless. The matter before the board this evening is part of Verizon's ongoing upgrade of its equipment on the water tank located at 213 Fox Hill Street. Specifically in November of 2020, Verizon obtained administrative EIDR approval to remove and replace its 12 existing wireless antennas on the water tank. We are now before the board to request WCOD-EIDR approval to install 3 additional wireless antennas on the tank. As part of our application, we have submitted zoning drawings showing the proposed installation, structural and mount analysis demonstrating that the existing mounts on which the 3 proposed additional antennas will be installed can support these additional antennas, and the water tank can also support the additional antennas. We've also, in consultation with the planner, submitted to the board photo simulations showing the 3 additional antennas and the minimal visual impact they will have, and an engineering necessity case showing the improved wireless coverage as a result of our upgrade to the antennas on the structure, and as well as a redacted copy of Verizon's lease with the water district showing our site control of the site, and an updated set of antenna specifications. We believe this is a very straightforward addition to an ongoing project to upgrade our equipment. And with that, I would look forward to any questions members of the board may have.
Thank you. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I apologize. I got a mute look on my phone. So any questions for board members for the applicant? Josh, you have a question?
Yeah, actually I have several. Actually I'm excited to get better coverage in Westwood personally. So I do like that we're upgrading this infrastructure, but I was looking through some of this documentation and, was a site visit ever conducted as part of this besides the most recent photos that were taken, but like 2 days ago, 3 days ago?
A site visit by the board?
No, by any of your engineers. Proterra, was that who it was?
I'm not sure if they were there recently. They might have been.
I know they were there.
There's some work going on there now, so
Yeah.
it's likely that they were there.
Okay, yeah, because I was looking through attachment F, the amount analysis report, the structural analysis reports, and there's some assumptions here that are based off of, the structure is assumed to be in good condition for your defects. If we're not actually inspecting it, how can we actually make those assumptions in good conscience? I don't see any nomenclature anywhere that we've actually done those assessments in person.
Well, this will be done by a building, subject to a building permit, and there is an existing building permit for the work that's being done now. So the town would certainly be doing their normal inspections relative to the building permit. And then we'd get a certificate of occupancy or whatever it is that when you sign off on it, on the work.
It's just hard for me to understand how we can vote on the structural integrity in these report assumptions when we don't have anything to support those assumptions. If that makes any sense.
Josh, you're referring to the
The
structure.
building inspector will inspect the work according to the permit. They will take the engineer's structural report into consideration. Our building inspector will not perform independent structural analysis. So whatever is presented in the application, the engineer who wrote that report and signed off on it is responsible for having confirmed the structural integrity of the tank and the mounting brackets.
But without them actually viewing them, they wouldn't be able to do that, right? The liability would be on them, but
Yes, it would be. And I would expect that the engineer had somewhat recently, before writing that report, would have inspected the facility to ensure that it was in good condition. If that's what they're stating in the report, I would expect it was based on a visit to the site.
because I don't see anywhere in here that it details that a site visit was conducted. In either those reports, as well as the FCC compliance under sections 2B, 2C, neither one of those were completed. And we had made some recommendations for the FCC compliance to add some signage, which already exists. So I'm confused as if we had ever visited this site, or are we just making assumptions? Ellen,
Well,
Steven?
I suppose, can you clarify what you mean in terms of the assumptions in the FCC report?
So the assumptions were in the attachment H for the structural analysis and attachment F, the mountain analysis. Those were the assumptions where the structure is assumed to be in good condition, blah, blah, blah. The FCC compliance report under section 2B and 2C are the existing site characteristics, both accessibility and the Verizon observations, neither one which were completed. And then under special mitigation instructions, it indicated some signage which already exists at the site. So did we visit the site?
So,
I have to ask our engineer. I can ask him. But I mean, we could, as a condition of the approval, we can provide a structural after the work is done to sign off on it as part of the getting the sign off from the building inspector, if that will work for everybody.
Do we know the last time an inspection was done prior to this point? Steve or Ellen?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, the
We'll
work
have-
is underway now. So, and under the initial building permit, that would have to be signed off on. And the mounts for these antennas are part of the first building permit. So the work that's being done now includes mounts for these 3 antennas that are being added. So it was anticipated that these would be added, and for some reason they weren't. I don't know, we weren't involved then, but now we're adding these 3 antennas onto that. So it's almost like an amendment of the original application that was submitted.
So that work is not complete yet?
That's correct.
that's right, it's ongoing.
Right.
And that's what all that construction work around there is as well. Because that was another one of my questions. That was
Yeah.
condition of the first approval was that it was returned to order, and it hasn't been as of yet. So, okay, that answers that question.
Yeah, so again, we could update and supplement the structural as a condition of this work. And add, and specify when a visit is out, been made to the site.
So Nora, we have a sign off from an engineer saying that the structure is solid enough, intact enough for this building permit that's being executed now from November of 2020. Is that what's happening?
So we have, along with this application, there is a structural report stating that the tank and the mounting brackets can support the proposed antennas.
And that report comes from whom?
Our
Sorry.
engineers at the Proterra Group.
Okay.
I have a few other questions. I'm sorry. Maybe it's because I'm new. I also noticed on the lease that was submitted that I noticed that it was a five-year lease with auto renewal 5 years. But that was back in '99. Do we have an updated lease?
We do. So the updated lease was submitted yesterday and uploaded to the meeting packet. The date of the updated lease is 2008. It is an initial 5-year term and 2 automatic 5-year extensions. So it's valid at least through 2023.
Awesome. And then the FCC license that was submitted, I didn't see Westwood detailed there.
They're like a geographic area. They include
KNK 201, right?
I'm sorry?
KNK 201A?
But they include various towns. They're more regional. It wouldn't necessarily reference Westwood, but it would include Westwood.
Which section?
Stephen, do you have a copy of it there?
Yeah, one second. So, beg your pardon.
Because I see Rockport listed, I see Medway, Situate, Derry, Middleborough, and this one that's attached to this is marked as of 2018. So especially since the construction isn't finished and you hadn't been approved, I don't know how this license could reflect the Westwood location.
Well, we have existing antennas already on the tank.
Okay.
So we've been operating those antennas, I think, at least since 2002.
Okay.
What we're doing, what we did in 2020 was get administrative approval to replace those existing 12 with 12 new ones.
Okay.
And what we're doing now is requesting authority or approval to add 3 additional antennas. So that'd be a total of 15. I'm looking through the licenses right now.
We always do request the most current, obviously the current license and operating license to submit with our applications. And we get those directly from the radio frequency engineers that work for Verizon.
Right. So let's see.
Great. So I just want to make sure that it's done, and I don't see evidence of that.
Well, we can make that representation, but we can also submit, if it's conditional to us getting a letter from the Verizon certifying that the license includes Westwood.
Okay.
Any other members with questions for the applicant? Okay. Nora, I think the applicant agreed, from what I heard, were there 2 additional conditions?
Yes. So let me read those to you. The suggestions are, but before you even get to the conditions, the first thing you should do is discuss waivers. There are 25 waivers that were requested with this application. They were all submitted in the application description. the list of waivers is for many environmental impact design review standards and submittal requirements that are not associated with this type of a facility. So for instance, there are landscaping, traffic, lighting reports that are ordinarily required. There's a model that's ordinarily required as a first step in any application that's provided under EIDR. Many of those sections are periodically waived by the board. For instance, a model is almost always waived by the board, but it's a ground condition that is required unless waived. So if you could look at the request for waivers, you don't need to name each one specifically. You could just have a motion to accept and to grant all of those waivers to allow the application to be complete so that you can actually consider it tonight. And if you can't put your finger on those waivers, I can upload the waiver request and show it on the screen.
Is that like relation of the buildings to the environment, preservation of landscape, open
Yes,
space?
that's it.
And I would note that while in number 23, we initially requested a waiver of the photo simulations, we did submit photo simulations on, I believe it was yesterday. So those should be available to the board.
So Nora, should that waiver be removed from the list, or does it not matter?
You can waive the requirement even though it was submitted, or you can accept it and we can remove that from the list, whichever way the board is comfortable proceeding. Let me put up the list. Just give me 1 second. All right, can you see that? Can you see my screen?
Yes. It's very small for me, but I can see it.
Let me see if I can increase. Is that better?
That's much better.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. All right, so there's a list of 25 waivers. If you'd like to remove the one with the photo simulations, I believe that's, I can find that. That's number 23. So if you would like to, if you're amenable to granting the other waivers, you could make a motion to grant waivers 1 through 22, 24, and 25.
So I'll make a motion to grant the waivers 1 through 22 and 24 and 25.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion on the issue of waivers for the applicant?
Nora, weren't there 2 additional waivers that came up this evening?
You are.
No,
you
not waivers, additional
There's-
conditions.
Conditions, pardon me.
Yes,
Nora, can I just see one? Could you just scroll back up?
sure.
Sorry, that was just. Could you just go? I was looking at page 2.
I'm sorry. Just 1 second. Can you see what you're looking for?
Yep, no, I'm good. I just wanted to go back and look at that one. I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. I'm asking for further discussion, if there is any, for board members.
Chris, yeah, I feel like some of the comments I brought up earlier pertain directly to at least the safety aspect, the safety waiver that they applied for, and arguably the detrimental effects. So I'm going to have a hard time voting to support that. So.
Okay.
Well, can we make the waiver subject to the condition?
Yeah.
Because certainly you can have the condition be incorporated into the waiver. Would that make sense? Pat?
Can do it any way you'd like.
Which condition are you referring to?
No, I'm talking about Josh, if he, because of the safety issues.
So one of the conditions that we're talking about, or the physical condition of the tank?
Well, that would be part, I see those as part of one and the same, right? We have Denham Westwood Water District employees working at the site below that, perhaps even going up to the top of the area as well. And I haven't seen any evidence that they actually did a structural assessment with a site visit. So yeah, I see that as part of the safety waiver that they're applying for.
Which are you saying are you referring to as the safety assessment? Is
8.
that what you're saying? Waiver 8.
7388.
8.
So would you like to remove that waiver from consideration?
That would be my recommendation.
So friendly amendment then to remove a waiver for 8, just as we did for 23.
Second.
Okay. Are you amending your motion, Kate?
I'm amending my motion. Thank you.
Is there a second to allow her to amend that motion?
I second it.
Oh, sorry, I did not hear that second. Okay, we have an amended motion for the waivers and a second. Do we have any further discussion on that motion? Not hearing any.
Jesse, Ellen, one second.
Sorry.
Good, Dave.
Ellen, applicant, sorry, you had a question or?
Yeah, just to clarify, so by removing that, what is it that you would be looking for as a, to satisfy that requirement?
It's a good question. Nora, what would be expected of the applicant by removing this waiver?
It would be a safety assessment as described in that section of the bylaw. So it's section 7.3.8.8. And the waiver request that you submitted says the safety impact of Verizon's proposal shall be substantially the same as that was assessed in Verizon's previous WCOD-EIDR, the same location approved in November 17, 2020. So I believe what would be required is for you to update that safety assessment that was submitted in 2020. I believe that's what your consultant attempted to do in submitting the structural report here, but it sounds like the board is not comfortable with what was submitted because there's no date of inspection that shows that there was any visit to the site since the original safety assessment was created for the application 2 years ago.
Does the applicant understand that?
No. issue with that. I'm just talking to the engineer now, just from Proterra, and he said that they're not at the stage yet where they're ready to do inspections, but they will be. They're part of the construction process. So he said that that's upcoming and it's part of the schedule of the construction to do inspections. So we will be submitting we will be having an inspections and we will be submitting those to the town. Is that correct, Jesse? They go to the town.
Yep.
Okay.
That's part of the process that's happening now. So they're just not at a stage yet where there's a special inspection required. So like we've done shop drawing review, we've done that kind of thing, but they haven't started that field work that requires that inspection yet.
Okay.
So I guess another question for you then is like, can you provide the original safety inspection that your subsequent engineering evaluations are based off of? Like, I think that would go some way to assuage any concerns that I might have. But if the previous one says the same thing with, the assumption that the structural integrity is there, like, obviously I'm gonna have the same concerns, right? So. but I haven't seen anything that has provided any kind of evidence of inspection or capability to withstand the weight.
Right. Well, I mean, we wouldn't have gotten the, go ahead, Jesse, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
We wouldn't have gotten the approval the first time without having that report and it being acceptable, but we can pull it out from the previous application and, you know, provide it as a condition. So.
The project that you're in for is swapping one piece of equipment for one that's already there. So it's just dependent on that project that's being built now because all new mounts are being put on the tank.
Can we put this gentleman's name on the record, please?
Certainly, Jesse Marino from Proterra.
And do we have a rough idea when the schedule would allow for a site visit from that organization? A rough idea?
Did you hear that, Jesse? When is the?
I don't. I mean, we can let them know when we go out there, but it's dependent on the contractor and Verizon. So I know we did shop drawing review. We did a bunch of things before winter, and they wanted to wait till the spring, which now. And the last time we were out there, I saw staging and some things starting again. So, and according to the contractor, they were going to start back up. But that's all I have for a schedule at this point. We can get back to them. I can give them a call tomorrow.
Did they do the original assessment and were they stamped by the engineer?
Did Proterra do the original work? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. In other words, is this a follow-up on prior work or is this a new engagement?
Is it a continuation of what you've already done, Jesse?
Yes.
Yes, he said it's a continuation.
Okay.
And basically a modification of the original work, right? To add the 3 antennas.
Okay, so just to keep this moving forward, we had a motion and a second on item number 23 and item number 8 in the amended motion. Is that correct, Pat? Am I
That's my
remembering?
memory.
That's
Okay,
excluded from the waivers, yeah. Granting waivers to all but 8 and 23.
right. So we've had that. We've had further discussion. I think we've had ample time to get comprehensive answers as to where they stand. So I'm ready to entertain a roll call vote as to whether or not the board is comfortable with the waivers as they've been motioned. So I will take the roll call vote now. If you're comfortable with the waivers excluding items 23 and number 8 on the list. Kate,
Aye.
Ellen,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Josh,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So Nora, what's next? The conditions?
So before you get to the conditions of an approval, so now you have an application that is complete except for the item mentioned in the waiver request number 8, the safety assessment. So the application is not yet a complete application without that. So you have not waived that requirement. The board can consider if it wants to allow the application with later submittal of that requirement, or the board can require a continuation of the hearing until that safety assessment is provided. So I think those are the 2 options you have. And then if you do choose to go forward and allow a delay in the receipt of that, or reconsider a waiver of the safety assessment, then you could vote on the application itself.
And if we receive receipt of that safety assessment and it is satisfactory to the town, to yourself or a town planner, who assesses that safety assessment?
We can have the town engineer do an assessment. So when this application came in, it does not, because it is a replacement or an addition of antennas to an existing structure, it doesn't rise to the level of requiring a peer review report, but we did ask Beta Group to review it on behalf of the town engineer. And Beta returned an application saying that they had a response saying that they had no concerns, nor did DPW. So that was the extent of their review. If you would like a higher level review of a structural analysis, then that would be in the form of a peer review that Beta would then, or another engineer would be hired to do a review specific to the safety assessment.
Okay.
So this is keep in mind that this is for a previously approved mounting structure, that it's simply the antennas that are being added at this stage.
Right. Okay. Is everyone clear what Nora just explained? If not, now's the time to state. We'll discuss it further until everyone's comfortable, if they're not.
I guess my question is, we can approve the application subject to supplementation as compared to not approving the application until the supplementation and the assessment has occurred, and whether the Westwood engineer provides the assessment to make sure that we're sure. Am I correct, Nora?
That's correct.
So we could either approve subject to supplementation or essentially put a hold and then reconsider on the application itself.
That's correct. So there's a shot
Okay.
clock with wireless communication applications. It begins upon completion of the application. As of this moment, the application is incomplete because it's missing that required safety assessment.
Right. Okay.
And the board can start the clock by waiving the assessment. If you choose not to waive it, the clock does not start. So you could grant an approval requiring those later items to come in prior to a certificate of completion, but that's allowing them to start work before the application is complete.
Steve or Ellen, how long would it take to get the updated supplementation, and would that impact your timeline?
Oh, yeah, we would ask if you would move forward tonight with us supplementing it, and so that we could, continue with this project, because it is a, part of what's going on there now. So as far as doing the safety assessment, we could, look at that and see what was provided last time, and hopefully find that and submit that tomorrow. The licenses we're going to take care of tomorrow. The additional structural will have to be part of the process, as you heard Jesse say, that it's already part of their construction schedule to do site inspections and submit those. And we would work as we normally would with the building inspector, and how that construction process goes forward. And this is just part of, again, what would be monitored by the building department and be signed off by the building department.
Now, Ellen, am I correct that these would be subject to being stamped by someone with a license, just to ensure that the appropriate level of safety is essentially an engineer standing behind the work?
Right. The plans that we submitted were stamped, and
But the additional supplementation would also be stamped.
And I would note that the structural and mount analyses are also stamped.
Right.
That we submitted.
Okay.
And that, yep. So both of those have been stamped as well.
Stephen, I guess to my previous point is those were based off of assumptions that we don't have evidence of.
Right.
Okay. As I see it, the board has two paths it could go down. I guess I would entertain a motion for someone to make to go down one of them. Your choice. I think Nora explained it well.
I would move the application subject to supplementation.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay,
So
hearing none.
now that's a move to consider the application.
Yes.
If you, and so you're
Yes.
considering it complete subject to that supplementation as part of your approval. If you vote in favor of that, then you would have another motion to actually approve the project with conditions.
And Ellen, when would you suggest that the supplementation, just give us your outside time period, because we don't want to have this meander.
Well, the structural part would have to be done, I guess, when the work as it's going along. So I'm not sure, I'm pretty much subject to the construction schedule that they're proposing. I could, I think this again is something that the building inspector has signed off on and is continued to be involved with. It's to check as the work is progressing along, to make sure it's in compliance with the plans that were submitted. And that we would submit a structural when the work is done to demonstrate that it's all, done correctly and in conformance with the plans. So.
Question is
maybe
when?
Maybe you could do it in 2 stages. I don't know technically whether, whether there could be done in 2 stages or not, whether one could be done when, the mounts are there. So I'm not, but we would do it as quickly as possible. I can say that. As quickly as technically can be done. So, Verizon's not going to put antennas on equipment that's not structurally sound.
Right. We
do that.
I was just looking for some kind of, for your assessment of when this has clear closure as to the supplementation.
It
Well, we
might,
have everything that we could submit as soon as possible.
Before the next meeting?
Alan, would that be within this week, within this month?
Yeah, that's what I'm just trying to get a time.
We're
here.
looking for a time frame. We're not going to hold you to it. We're looking for a general time frame of how
I
long
would-
it's.
I'll say yes.
Just by
this
the end of
month.
May?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
can
All right.
I just read to you the section of the bylaw that we're kind of debating over? I'll show it on the screen. It's section 7.3.8.8. And this is the section that deals with safety. It's part of a general environmental impact report, not specific to wireless facilities. And it reads, safety. With respect to personal safety, all open and enclosed spaces shall be designed to facilitate building evacuation and maximize accessibility by fire, police, and other emergency personnel and equipment. Insofar as practicable, all exterior spaces and interior public and semi-public spaces shall be designed to minimize the fear and probability of personal harm or injury by increasing the potential surveillance by neighboring residents and passers-by of an accident or attempted criminal act. Traffic to and from any facility shall not cause safety hazards or increased congestion in nearby residential neighborhoods. So that's the condition that a waiver was requested from. It's a general safety requirement. That's not specifically the safety of the existing tank and its ability to handle the mounting structures and the antennas. So I just want to make sure the board understands and doesn't confuse the two. That's the question that a waiver was requested to demonstrate that safety. It's the type of safety, if it was a building, it would be making sure that there were appropriate exits, that staircases weren't blocked, that there were the right number of doorways. In this case, it's a structure, making sure that you can get to and from the structure. It's not about the capacity of the tank itself. That comes in the engineer's structural report that Josh has expressed some concerns about. So I just want to make sure we're clear. They're 2 separate items. So you could waive the request for that safety report and still require an independent structural analysis after the fact as part of your decision.
All right. I believe we had a motion and a second. Is that right, Pat?
You're on mute, Pat.
I've lost track of where we stand, frankly.
I believe that's the case, but I'm going to defer to Jessica because she's taking the minutes. You're muted, Jessica.
You're on mute.
Chris, you are correct. There's been a first and a second. The first was done by
Bill,
yep, and the second was done by Josh.
And do you have what the motion was for?
To approve subject to supplementation. Oh, no, wait, sorry. Subject to supplementation,
I would add to the end of May, by the end of May.
consider the application by the end of May. Okay.
That's the motion. Mr. Ames, does your second still stand for that amended motion?
Yes, it does.
So,
I believe,
so to be clear, you're talking about supplementation to meet what was otherwise asked to be waived for general safety concerns. You want that by the end of May.
That was my motion, yes.
That's not the structural report on the tank that would have to come later.
Ellen, go ahead.
That's a question. So two things. One, there was an inspection done by an outside firm for the water department. So we have a letter that they've signed off on it. And
That'd be great. Yeah.
and again, your internal, departments have reviewed it. And as far as that waiver, I guess I'm not clear on what we would submit to satisfy that safety, more general safety condition. If we can add that back in possibly to the waivers that you're waiving, the request for waivers, since it doesn't seem to apply to the tower. And we can, submit that letter from the company that reviewed it for the water company. For the water department.
so it seems upon further discussion, the safety waiver that had been referenced is not discussing the stability of the structure itself. I don't know if Mr. Ames or Mr. Giordano, you made the motion, if your concerns are still valid with regard to that particular safety waiver, given what Nora just explained to us. Are they still present in your mind, the concerns with regard to that safety explanation?
No, that makes sense to me. I'd be fine with approving with the waiver.
I
With
was just going to say, I was going to agree with Josh, with what Josh said. If that's the case, that's fine with me too.
So you'd like to maintain your motion to continue with the waiver of the safety, or to withhold or delay that. Is that correct, Nora? Am I saying that correctly?
So I'm confused. Are you, I'm confused about what the motion is at this point. Are you now willing to waive the request for waiver number 8, or are you saying you still want to have that safety report submitted?
I was going to say that the supplementation can be satisfied if it's already essentially occurred, which is what I was understanding Ellen had said. Is that correct, Ellen?
Yeah, so there's two things.
So then I would be okay with the waiver of 8.
Okay, so I think it would be clearest if we have a new motion, to grant a waiver as requested in number 8 of the waiver request.
We've already voted to eliminate number 8 from our list of waivers, right? So now we're looking to include it.
So
Correct.
procedurally, you need a motion to reconsider.
Motion to reconsider the waiver for section number 8.
Second.
Roll call vote. Ellen?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Okay, so now in considering the application, we've discussed a couple of conditions for the approval to be added to the standard conditions that I listed out in the packet that I sent to you. So the 2 additional conditions would be: 1, an updated structural report shall be submitted confirming a recent engineer's inspection of the facility and confirmation of the structural condition of the water tank and its ability to support the proposed new antennas. And 2 would be a certification shall be provided to confirm the corrected, I can't read my writing. I'm sorry, Ellen, do you recall what your second condition was? I think I was interrupted in writing it.
We're going to submit confirmation from Verizon that the license includes Westwood.
Correct, right. So a certification shall be provided to confirm that the licensing is up to date for this location.
If I could just clarify on regarding the structural. So we do have a report saying the tank supports the equipment. So that's one, confirmation that we have that the water tank itself is structurally sound and supports the equipment.
And who's
Then
that
we
report? Who's that report from?
That was Stephen who did that.
That was
There's-
Verizon Wireless's engineer, Jesse Moreno at the Proterra Group.
Okay,
Right. And then we have the third party from the water department that we can submit to. So,
you
and then we have, I'm
you-
sorry.
so you have two parties who will testify or attest to the structure of the water tank and hold the 3 antennas. Is that what you're telling us?
The water district contracted an engineer to review Verizon Wireless's analyses of the water tank and found that it could support
Okay.
additional equipment.
But I think if I understand correctly, Josh's question had to do with that first engineer, the engineer that performed a report for Verizon, that there was no demonstration of a recent inspection upon which that report was based. So
So
this
that's what I
new
just-
condition is to confirm a recent inspection.
So I just want to clarify. So we have the water tank can support the new equipment that's, the equipment that's going on there now under, like, as we speak, and then the additional 3 antennas. Then I understand you're looking for confirmation that once that equipment is put on, that it was put on in a way that the tank is still structurally sound. And so I don't know that we will be able to have that report done until the work is done. So that's why it's almost, there's 2 types of confirmation I think you're looking for, if I just understand correctly, is that the water tank can support the equipment and that once the equipment is on, that it's been put on in a way that is still, that the tank is still structurally sound. Is that correct? Do I have that?
So I think both of those things are needed, but I think the concern tonight that we're trying to address in the condition is that we do have your structural engineer's report. However, there is nothing in that report that gives a board member confidence that a recent inspection has occurred by the engineer who provided that report to demonstrate that he or she knows what they're talking about and has actually been to the site. So I think that
That's
it's
the original, okay.
the original report that you submitted prior to installation of these antennas. We want confirmation from the engineer who provided that report of the date that he has made a physical inspection. And if that hadn't occurred prior to his submitting that report, then that needs to occur and he needs to submit a supplement to that report.
Okay, that I think we could do quickly. Anything that's relating to the current construction that's going on can be a condition of, of getting the CO or whatever it is that
Right.
we get from the building inspector.
Right. All right, and so then there are then 4 recommended standard conditions that I'll read to you. One is that the visual and aesthetic impact of all antennas, radio heads, mounting brackets, and any other attachments shall be minimized to the fullest extent practical. The antennas and cabling shall be painted to match the color of the water tank and repainted as necessary. These are all conditions that are with the previous approval as well. 2, the planning board shall be notified within 30 days of any discontinuance of the wireless facility. All antennas, brackets, cable trays, and any other associated equipment shall be fully removed within 6 months of abandonment or discontinuance of the use. 3, this WCOD-EIDR approval shall lapse if a substantial use thereof or construction thereunder has not begun, except for good cause, within 2 years following the grant thereof. The planning board may extend such approval for good cause upon the written request of the applicant. In the case of the EIDR approval, the term substantial use thereof or construction thereunder shall mean the commencement and substantial progress of approved vertical construction activity. And then the last condition would be a copy of the decision and project plan shall be kept at the project site at all times during construction. So if you agree with those 6 conditions, then you would need a motion to grant approval of the WCOD EIDR approval subject to those 6 conditions.
Before we get to that, I have a procedural question for Mr. Ahern, if I may. We voted recently to reconsider waiver 8. Did we
You
actually,
haven't voted to approve waiver 8.
that's what I was wondering. And so are we operating right now as if we have voted to approve? Or is that,
You have not voted to approve waiver 8. You voted to reconsider your vote not to approve waiver 8.
Right,
You need to
right. So
vote-
this is discussion on that motion to reconsider and therefore then grant a waiver of 8. So
You would
this is
need a-
discussion. You would
you
need
would
another motion, right? So
Yes.
you vote to reconsider. If
We
you
did
all
that.
agree to reconsider, you would need to vote to grant a waiver under condition 8. And then you could grant to approve the application, and the application would be considered with these 6 conditions. So just so you have a full picture before you decide whether you will reconsider
so
waiving that one point.
Pat, were you going to say something?
No,
Oh,
I
sorry.
was gonna let Nora finish.
So at this point, we have outstanding waiver number 8 that I believe we could entertain a motion to accept, and we can let the vote see where it goes. And
The
if not,
First, you need to take a roll call vote to reconsider the previous decision. That's the first step. So you.
They've already done that.
Oh,
We
you,
did.
okay, I'm sorry.
so that's why it's on the table again to discuss.
Okay, so can I make a motion that we waive condition 8? That we allow a waiver of item 8?
Waive. Okay.
Second.
We have a
Second.
mo-
Yep.
And a second. Any further discussion on waiver number 8? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Josh,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay, so now under consideration with the conditions listed by Nora would be the acceptance of the application, the complete application from the applicant. Is that right?
And approval. And so the motion would be by waiving all of the outstanding items, you have accepted the application. The application is complete. So now
Okay.
what you would do is you would request a motion to grant WCOD-EIDR approval, wireless communication overlay district, environmental impact, design review approval, subject to the 6 conditions I read.
Now, can I just say so moved, or do I have to repeat it all?
So moved.
So moved, yeah.
You can say that, pardon me.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Phil,
Aye.
Josh,
Aye.
Ellen,
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
I vote aye also. All right. Is that it?
That's it for this one application. All right, thank you.
We'll
Thank you very much.
we'll be in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Good night.
much.
So
Project.
now we need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Ellen,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Josh.
Aye.
I vote aye also. Great, that hearing is closed. Let's
All
move on.
right,
We have an AM 32 drive.
that's right. And this is not a hearing, it's simply an approval not required plan. This plan, you may recall, was before you in the beginning of April, but it was determined to be incomplete because the property owner's authorization was not submitted. Is there an applicant present to discuss this application? I had heard from the engineer that someone was going to attend, but I don't see anyone in the list of attendees. So this is a fairly straightforward application. If you'd like me to bring up the plan, I can do that.
Nora, I do see a hand raised in,
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Let me bring that party over. Okay, you're now a panelist. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, just for the record, my name is Bob Shelmerdine, and I'm pinch hitting tonight for John Glossa, who's the engineer who had prepared this plan. It's really a swap of parcels. And so I'll just stand ready to answer any questions the board may have. As you've indicated, it's really a Form A, and it's just a swap of parcels between three parties.
So if everyone can see the plan, I have it on the screen. Does anyone have any questions?
I noticed on here that it was, this swap is at least in part to put a playground on lot 21A. Is that correct?
Which one is 21A? It's actually, so Bob Shelmerdine again. There is a playground. These lots, as you can see, are interesting configurations to begin with. So lot 21A, and then lot, it's hard for me to see here, lot 20A and 19. They're all interestingly shaped. So actually lot 19A or lot 20A goes all the way down past 21. And the original plan that Mr. Glossa prepared just cut a little too short in that backyard of lot 20A or 21A. That's 35. I know the street address is 35 is the single house that's higher on the plan. 32 is just below that. So 35, the yard in 35 just got cut short, and there's actually a play structure already in that area. And so we're just recognizing that 32 is picking up some land to the, I think that's north. It's probably picking up some land to the west and swapping equal sized parcels just to recognize that the yard, there's a grass structure, there's a grass lawn there with a play structure that for all intents and purposes looks like it's in the backyard of 35.
Yeah, because there's a retaining wall that goes pretty much along that 1401 latitude, right?
Yeah, there's a retaining wall, but the actual so there's an easement for that detention basin in the backyard, but the actual retaining wall ends short of that where that play structure is located currently.
Gotcha.
And then on the other side, it for 32, and then I guess it's 26. 32 is at the bottom and 26 is just to the right. All they're really doing is in kind of a more crucial area there. 32 is picking up a little bit bigger backyard, and then giving some at the front actually. So 26 picks up a little bit more frontage. And John is the original, he prepared the original Autumn Estate subdivision. And so all three of these parties went back to John to reconfigure and rejigger just a bit.
So when the planning board considers an approval not required plan, they need to satisfy two requirements: that all lots have sufficient frontage to meet the A&R standards, which is a minimum of 20 feet or the applicable frontage in that zone. In this case, the zone is single residence C, and the applicable frontage is 125 feet. All 3 lots have a minimum of 125 feet of frontage. And the other requirement is that the board confirm that there's actual access from that street to each property, and that is the case, and that is not changed by the proposed A&R. So each property has the same access prior to and subsequent to the A&R plan. With those 2 conditions being met, the board would not determine that this is a subdivision. And if it's not a subdivision, the board must endorse it or allow it to go into effect without their endorsement. So the appropriate action at this stage would be a motion to endorse and then determine if the board members feel that endorsement is appropriate.
So I'll make a motion to endorse.
Second.
You're on mute, Chris. Chris, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry about that. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote to endorse this A&R. Josh?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Thank you very much, Planning Board. We appreciate your efforts.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. And then now just related to this, before we move on to the next item, how would you like to actually physically endorse the plan? Would you like me to bring it to the police station tomorrow and leave it there for your signatures?
Yes,
That-
please.
That works best for me.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Will do.
All right, I will do that.
And just for new members, it'll be the window to your left is where we've had it in the past. When you walk in the police station, it'll be rolled up and a pen will be there. Will it just be one copy to sign, Nora, or multiple?
It will just be, I think I have the Mylar that they submitted. I believe I also have a paper sheet, so it will be 2 copies. You'll sign the Mylar plan as well as a paper copy of the plan. Then the Mylar will be recorded at the registry once you've all signed it, and the paper plan will stay here for our records.
And there'll be a pen there with it.
There'll be a Sharpie pen that'll be left with it. And then just for the new members to show you exactly what you sign, that might be helpful to see.
The Mylar has to be signed too, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Every
Yes.
page.
Yes, you would sign the Mylar. So let me
Okay.
just open it up again to show you the section where you sign. Sorry, I already closed it, so it's taking a second to reopen. If you can see, I don't know if you can see on the screen, the far right side, right here, you see that there's the date and there's space for 5 signature lines.
And
So
the-
the board member just sign whichever line is the next one that hasn't been signed when you go to the police station. All right? And then I will date it once the last member has signed. Okay.
That's great.
So now you're up to the next agenda item, which is recommendations for subcommittee and committee liaison appointments.
All right. Nora, can you read through our committees?
Sure. So the first one is the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. Steve Elnoff is the current representative and Ellen is the alternate. The MAPC meets quarterly in Boston. They're currently meeting remotely. That could change in July. Its next meeting is scheduled for next Wednesday, May 25th at 9:30 a.m. MAPC is the regional planning agency serving the 101 cities and towns in the greater Boston region. You can find more information about MAPC on their website.
Okay.
So is Ellen, are you interested in continuing to serve, or is someone else interested in taking on the role of alternate?
I am happy to serve if nobody else wants to, but I'm also willing to step out of the way and let someone else have a go if someone is really interested.
Nora, is Steve going to continue?
Steve
As
is
a-
going to continue, yes.
Just wanted to
If
confirm.
they're in person in Boston, since I'm in Boston every day, I can do it if unless it's Ellen wants to keep the position.
The alternate is really there, obviously, in the absence of the representative. So
Right.
it's, and I don't know how often Ellen has needed or attended, and it's really up to you. You can, both alternate and the rep can attend at the same time. That's not a problem. Usually the problem with Boston area is physical or geographic access. So if you find yourself in Boston, maybe it makes sense for you to land yourself on those committees that are in Boston.
I'm there every day. I'm just making the offer. So
I was trying to preclude you. If you'd like to continue on, I think that's your prerogative as well.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed, I've had lots of conversations with Steve, and it's been really educational and helpful. So I'm actually more than happy to pass that torch off, particularly to a newer member, because it just, even though I would attend, just don't vote because Steve has been there. And I get all the emails, and I think it was really useful as a first-year member to have some insight into that organization. So I'm more than happy to let someone else have a go. And Phil, if you are in Boston all the time, it's going to be a lot easier for you. If there is an in-person situation, certainly would be easier for you than for me. So I'm more than happy to let you take that seat.
okay, I'll jump on.
All right, the next one is the Housing Partnership Representative. So the Housing Partnership is a local organization appointed by the Select Board. Chris Paff is currently the Planning Board representative, and Kate Wynn is the alternate. The Housing Partnership meets several times a year. It's not on a regular monthly schedule. They probably meet 4 to 5 times a year. They met quite a bit in the past year because they were trying to help the Planning Board come up with a proposal for the MBTA communities zoning. I would expect that over the next year, they'll probably meet 3 or 4 times. And their task is to look into any housing related issues and to provide the Planning Board and the Select Board with advice on housing matters.
I enjoy working on this, and I have a difficult time attending meetings outside of Westwood, and these have been remote or they've been in Westwood. So I would prefer to stay on unless there's, a change that the board feels needs to be made.
Yeah, and for the same reasons, I enjoy being the alternate. So for this group in particular, so I'd love to stay as alternate as well.
Okay, the next item, next committee is the MBTA Advisory Board Designate. This is a little bit different than the others. Steve Alnoff is actually appointed to a 3-year term, so he would like to continue to serve out his term on this. I think he has 1 more year left in his 3-year term. Steve is actually here if you want me to bring him in to confirm that. That might be helpful. Hi, Steve. Can you speak to the MBTA Advisory Board?
Oh, okay, so it's a little confusing. The MAPC position is a 3-year one.
Oh,
So that one is appointed for 3 years. And so that one is important. The MBTA Advisory Board designee is just 1 year.
Okay.
So
All right,
I,
and you are interested in continuing in that?
yes,
capacity?
I'm actually on numerous committees. They have been meeting much more often than they have in the past. They've been very active and a lot of things going on. Particularly in the commuter rail and the latest CIP, the Capital Investment Program, is kind of ignored the commuter rail, and which is supposed to be transformed into regional rail, and that's no money has been put towards that, so that's just one of the issues that directly affects Westwood. So I'd like to continue on that, and again, when they get back to normal times, that meets in Boston, so maybe Phil, you'll be interested in getting involved in that.
I've been taking the commuter rail for many, many years. I'm actually very interested in those issues, so.
Okay, so I have to warn you now is that I attend all meetings, so you won't get much of a chance, but you can.
That's
always
okay.
welcome.
I'll just find out from you if what's going on. That's
No,
quite all
but
right.
you're welcome to participate and to attend meetings and learn what's going on and participate. Anyone can
Okay.
have to speak, you just don't, get to vote.
So
Yep.
I think, so with the MBTA Advisory Board designee, I don't believe they request an alternate.
Oh,
So in the past few years, Steve has been the representative. We have not submitted an alternate to that one. We do
Okay.
have then the Regional Transportation Advisory Council. It's a related position, I guess. That one, we do have alternates. And in the past year, Kate Wynn and Ellen Rawlings have been co-representatives on the Regional Transportation Advisory Council. This group meets on the second Wednesday of the month from 3 to 4:30 in Boston at the State Transportation Building. Currently remote, but so far scheduled to end remote meetings in July.
And
So-
they actually moved that up to 2:30. So it's
2:30?
It's
Okay,
2:30 now. Yeah, they changed that.
all right, so 2:30. So that, so Kate and Ellen, are you interested in continuing to serve on that, or is someone else interested?
I'm not able to because of the time.
Yeah, that's becoming challenging for me too. I could probably hang on as an alternate if someone else could be the primary.
So on this one, I can't be, not that I want to, but I couldn't be on this anyway. Westwood has to have someone on this in order to stay as a voting member. If you don't attend and a certain number of times, they actually will eliminate the town. There are 101 towns that could be on this, but it's only the ones that desire to attend and participate. And certainly you can learn actually quite a bit on this. So Phil, maybe you'd be interested in this one.
the state transportation building is not that far from my office, so I could routinely go.
That would make Phil the alternate for MAPC and the primary for the Regional Transportation Advisory Council.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right, and then the next is the Three Rivers Interlocal Council, TREC. The previous representative was Dave Atkins, so we will need someone new to serve in this role. Chris, you are currently the alternate. This group meets once a month on the third Tuesday. They meet from 8:30 to 10 at the Norwood Neponset Valley Chamber of Commerce office, although they are remote right now. And they've actually put out a remote schedule of meetings through the end of the year. I think they're hoping that they don't get brought back into person in July.
Josh, I don't know, but this is in Norwood. I was on TRIC. I was the primary for the first probably 5 or 6 years of my planning board tenure. Is this something that you think your schedule would allow you to do?
Yep, should be able to.
Okay.
This is a great organization. It's 13 area municipalities. They have great programs every month. So it's definitely worth participating in and just getting to know the representatives from the surrounding communities.
And
I attended this meeting this morning of TRIC. So does the unofficial representative from Westwood. And I mentioned that Dave Atkins has finished his term and that the planning board will be appointing someone tonight. So yeah, you get to meet all the local people from all the towns around who, most of them are actually town planners. It can be town planners, members of select boards, or town planning board members. But so you get to learn quite a bit. One of the things they do is tell what's going on in each town. So this is very educational.
And I'd be happy to stay on as the alternate to complete the rest.
Okay. Next, we have the Pedestrian and Bicycle Safety Committee. This group actually has ceased meetings temporarily because it's lacking a quorum. Right now, Kate Wynn is the current representative.
I'd love to stay the representative if that works for folks.
Okay. All right, and then our last committee is the Westwood Environmental Action Council, and Ellen is the current representative. This position serves as a liaison between WEAC and the planning board.
I'd like to continue that unless someone is really jazzed to take it from me.
All right, that looks good. It sounds like everyone is on at least one committee then. So if you want to vote to make a recommendation to the select board to make the appointments as we just discussed, I'll send that notice to the select board tomorrow.
Do we need a motion for
We do.
this?
You do.
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion on committee appointments? Okay, roll call vote. Phil,
Aye.
Ellen,
aye.
Josh,
Aye.
Kate,
Hi.
I vote aye. All right, so send that along to the select board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Steve.
All right, so next on your agenda is the meeting minutes from your meeting on April 25th.
So three of us can vote on this, right?
Correct.
That's
Ellen,
correct.
Kate, any amendments, any changes you see?
No.
Would you like to
Nothing
make-
jumped out at me. Motion to accept the minutes as written from
April
4/25. Thank you, April 25th, 2022.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, Ellen,
Aye.
Kate,
Hi.
I vote aye as well. Minutes are adopted.
Thank you. All right, and now we have to schedule meetings for the coming year. So the last meeting that's on the calendar is for June 7th. We traditionally wait until this May meeting to set the rest of the year's meetings so that we have the new members checking their vacation schedules. Typically, the board meets at least once a month. Where we can, we meet twice a month, but not in August, not around the holidays. And whenever possible, we try to meet every 3 weeks to give applicants enough time if they have to submit additional information or revise their plans. So in the memo I sent out to you today, I included a potential schedule of meetings. And if you could check your calendars for those dates, we can go through them one at a time and make sure everyone's available. And if they're not, schedule alternate dates.
Did you say you wanted to go through the year?
Yes. As far as we can, but
Quite
it's
ambitious.
helpful to put an entire year's calendar on the website for applicants so that they can plan accordingly.
I don't remember ever going as far out as a full year.
I think it's been a while.
You're just the end of this calendar year, not 12 months from now.
Oh, I
No.
have it. I have it. I
Oh,
have
June.
suggestions through next June, but if you don't want to go that far, go as far as you're interested.
I missed that. I missed that piece that you sent today, Nora. So
Okay. All right. So why don't we start with June 28th? Is everyone available on Tuesday, June 28th? That would be 3 weeks after your June 7th meeting.
Tuesday, June 28th. Yep, I'm available.
yeah.
Anyone not available? Why don't we say that?
Yes,
Anyone-
yeah, let us know if you're not available. All right, then 3 weeks after that would be July 19th.
I'm not
That date
available.
work? You're not? Okay. Would you like to
So
recommend
we're-
another date, either
Looking for one in July, right?
one in July? Yes.
So it seems, how about the 12th, moving it up into the middle of the month instead of towards the end?
Is everyone available on the 12th?
12th is fine.
Yes.
Anyone not available on the 12th? Okay, we'll make it the 12th then.
Okay,
And then the next suggestion is August 9th. Is anyone not available on August 9th? Okay, so we'll make it August 9th. The next suggestion is September 6th. Does anyone have a conflict on September 6th? That's the first Tuesday after Labor Day. Okay. September 27th is 3 weeks after that. Does anyone have a conflict on September 27th?
I would have a conflict.
Okay, would you like to consider either September
that's the
20th?
yeah, that's the only way we can do in the month.
Does anyone have a conflict on the 27th? Not, I'm sorry, on the 20th. If not, we'll-
The 20th is better for me.
okay, let's set it on the 20th. The next suggestion is October 18th. Anyone have a conflict on October 18th?
That's after the 20th from September, isn't it?
That is 4 weeks, yes. If you'd like to go sooner, we can go sooner. Would you prefer to consider October 11th? That is right after Columbus Day, which is why I avoided that, in case
Okay.
anyone is taking a 4-day holiday.
It's also bulk collection week in the town, just so while everybody has their calendars out. Bulk collection week.
Bulk collection week. So what date would you prefer for October?
I'm fine with the 18th. I was just noting that it's 4 weeks after. I'm available.
Okay. And then the next suggestion is November 1st. No conflicts?
No.
And then November 22nd, that is Thanksgiving week. So if people would prefer the week before, we could have those meetings 2 weeks apart. So we could either do November 22nd or November 15th.
I don't
Preference.
on the 22nd is right. Everyone's too crammed with other things going on. I would
November 15th?
I would say the 15th. More calm in most people's lives than even the 29th.
Okay. All right, and then the next one is December 13th. If no one has a conflict, we'll note that, and that will be the last one in this calendar year. Do you want to stop there, or do you want to continue into 2023?
I take is this far out, most people are not citing conflicts, but as we get closer, things like work travel may creep in and.
Okay, well, we
I
can
think
set
farther
the
out,
calendar.
sorry. Go
We
ahead.
can set the calendar just through the calendar year then, if you'd like, and we'll come back and address the other dates in the fall.
And let's not forget a new town planner might come in and change all the dates.
Then again, they may not.
As far out as we can schedule is definitely helpful to applicants. All right, so I will make those adjustments. I'll post the new calendar to the website, and that's it for that agenda item. The next is updates from agency and committee representatives. If anyone has any reports from all those committees that we just discussed that you've been attending.
So I will just say that the Pedestrian and Bike Safety Committee would really love to have more folks on the committee. So if you know anyone who's interested, it's a very fun group and passionate local residents. So I'm happy to talk with anybody or direct them to the chair of our committee for anybody who's interested.
I know Dave Atkins has time now. Just kidding, Dave. Okay. Anything else from board members with regard to committees? Okay. Nora, will you or somebody make arrangements for those committees to get the email or identification of those new representatives?
I will. Yes,
Okay.
yes. So I'll first submit the names to the select board. The select board has to officially make all of those appointments, and then your name and email or address are sent in to the organization, and then you'll get information back about the meeting.
So Josh and Phil, you'll just start getting emails on your planning board email account.
Yeah,
from them.
actually, that's something we should check on. Have you gotten access to your planning board email account and everything is working properly? You're able to see the meeting packets?
Yep.
I got it. And I'm all set.
Great, thank you. All right, and then the next item is just general miscellaneous updates and administrative items. So the first thing I just wanted to cover is that we have a new town planner that is starting in early June. His name is John Carboneau, and or Charbonneau, I think is how you pronounce it. He is currently the town planner in Stoughton. Before that, he was in Walpole, before that in Rentham, and actually don't remember, perhaps Raynham before that. He has 24 years of planning experience, a focus on downtown redevelopment and transportation planning. He's very knowledgeable, and we think he'll be a great fit in Westwood. So he is scheduled to start in early June and will be in attendance at your June 7th planning board meeting.
Nice.
All right. The other item I just wanted to update you on was there was a little bit of trouble with one of our call-in numbers that has been rectified. So I had referred it to Tish Healy and Donna McClellan, and I understand they've checked and that the phone numbers are now working. And then the third item was just to let you know that there was a complaint filed by a resident who had trouble calling in, and she filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office, and that will be that complaint will be addressed by the town. So I think that's it. I don't think there are any other administrative items. I will bring the A&R plan to the police station, and if you could get there to sign it as soon as you can, that would be great. All right, and then the decision that you approved tonight is an EIDR decision that does not require planning board signatures. So I will sign that on behalf, get that recorded, and get those that applicant on their way. So that's it. You have a meeting on June 7th. It's a longer agenda. There are at least 3 public hearings on that meeting. So you should get all the information ahead of time. And as I said, your new town planner will be in place. I'll attend that meeting as well. So we'll both be at the June 7th meeting.
If the 5th person who signs the A&R can just let Nora know that the 5th person has signed it, that'll expedite it getting filed.
Yes, that's helpful. Thank you.
And Chris,
All
you are
right.
muted.
I have no idea what's going on. I'm so sorry. I don't think I did anything, but evidently I did. Okay, I think we've gone through the whole agenda. Any other comments, questions? I want to thank both Dave Atkins and Tom McCusker for their service on the board. Very helpful, very good work from both of them. And I look forward to this next year, working with you guys in public service. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will take a motion for adjournment.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
3 motions there. 1 second. All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Josh,
Aye.
Ellen,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
and I vote aye also. We're adjourned. Thank you very much,
Thank
everyone.
you. Have a good